god. Hell yeah. Welcome to India, we're all getting hurt. क्या करूँ तू?
Shit.
That's taller.
Day one, complete.
all got hurt. Drained.
You guys find food the other day.
We went back by our place.
Well, you guys didn't eat.
Where's your brother at?
Oh. Good, right? Very good.
भागते हुए भैंस के सामने खड़ा होना लोग कहते हैं किसी का आखिरी सबक हो सकता है। हालांकि हम गिरने में विशेषज्ञ बन जाए, हम जरूर वापस उठने में बेहतर बन जाएंगे। सभी ने इस विषय पर बातचीत की है, परंतु आज तक एक दूसरे के साथ कभी नहीं की। हमारे परिवार में आप किसी भी पैर से पहले कदम ले सकते हो, परंतु वह कदम आपको आगे बढ़ाना चाहिए। लोग कहते हैं कि ढोल दूर से ज्यादा सुहावने लगते हैं, लेकिन अगर हम पास में आकर करीब से नहीं देखेंगे तो हम ढोल को कैसे पहचानेंगे। केक वाला
Live from Chicago, it's Art with Anderson, the show that talks, teaches, and tackles all things art. Here's your host, Joe Anderson.
Hey, it's Mr. A. Joe Anderson back at you with another episode of In Profile. It's my series where I'm bringing together a lot of creative minds from my network and yours to not only take a look at their work, but also find out what inspires them, keeps them going, especially in these strange times. But without much further introduction, I want to introduce you to a dear friend of mine who has been an inspiration not only for his athletic skating ability, but his kind of aesthetic mindset and how he approaches not only making films, doing graphic design in the agency sector, but also just overall raw creativity and producing quality content and artwork that is definitely keeping me excited. And without much more introduction, I am happy to announce our guest, Robert Marohn. Thanks for joining us, Rob.
How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah, just enjoying the solace and isolation of the COVID epidemic, I guess you could say. But you look like you're in an idyllic setting right now. Where are you at?
Right now, I'm in Sawyer, Michigan, which is about an hour away from Chicago.
Oh, excellent.
Hunkering down here during the weekends when I don't have to be on call or anything. It's pretty great.
Yeah, that's excellent. How's the skating up there? Are there a lot of six stairs prime for kick flips?
No, you gotta almost the opposite. You gotta walk about 2 blocks down a gravel road, and then because nothing's really happening right now, I skate in a church parking lot. That's all we got right now. That's the only flat ground around.
Hey, well, thanks again for coming on the show. I know we've had a couple conversations over the years. We both went to University of Illinois in Champaign. Yes, fellow Illini, but a few years apart. But the thing that has always kind of drawn me in, especially, a couple years after I left, I remember, hearing about this infamous skate house. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's awesome. I'm probably not the best person to talk about that because like you said, I was a little bit of the runt that was always clinging on to the older guys or the older group and everything. Skate House was a house in Urbana that my brother lived with a couple other guys that actually founders of Giving Room and whatnot. But it was a crappy house in Urbana. And right as soon as everyone moved in, we pitched together funds to get a bunch of wood, and we built a mini ramp in the backyard, which is just a smaller half pipe. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I love about your approach to things, especially your aesthetic, is that there's kind of an immediacy to it. You're obviously applying the same level of intensity of skating to some of the work you do. And I certainly, if those of you were able to join in earlier, we'll kind of follow up the cast with the full-length film that you created in India. But I know that came as a part of a larger project, and you mentioned Giving Room. Can you tell people a little bit about that project and what that involves?
Yeah, so I mean, just seeing what everyone else was kind of looking at earlier, went to India last year for a couple of weeks, and then the year before. What brought us out there was my brother moved to India right out of college, and he wanted to go back once he moved back to the States. And kind of naturally, we've done the same thing in places that we've gone to, but he made a lot of his friends out there and close friends through skateboarding. And that's the beautiful part about skateboarding is not only kind of drives you to create just in everyday life, but also that it connects just, people all around the world. So Ryan, my brother, was out in India when he wanted to go back. We wanted to bring things for the guys out there since they don't have access to the same kind of resources that we do. And so he asked everyone to donate, pitch in, give boards, shoes, hardware, like hard goods, soft goods, everything. And we thought it might be interesting to make like a larger project about it, like maybe brand it up a bit. And then 2 weeks before he was about to go, we're creating this idea. And I'm like, oh man, like, Ryan, I got to go with you. Like, let's do this. Like, if we're going to do this, let's like really get into it. And then yeah, kind of Giving Room started from there, and it was a way nice little project, and we kept in touch with everyone in Skate House. But yeah, that's Giving Room a little bit, or the start of it.
Yeah, well, so the other thing is, I certainly don't want to, pin you as just the skateboarder, because I know that you do a lot of work and you're working in New York for some agencies, but as, as an artist as well, like, I was a teacher for 9 years before kind of, trying to go full barrel at the creative world. But like, what's your opinion of kind of working in some of those more corporate settings? Because like, you don't strike me as, don't take it the wrong way,
Yeah.
not the corporate suit and tie type of guy.
Oh my God, I can be though, man. If you look at, there's amazing LinkedIn candid photos out there somewhere. But yeah, no, it's a weird thing, drawing the line in the professional world, and especially doing like graphic design. And it's so weird to use that term graphic designer, because I feel like it's, not only, it's just like it's weird construct, it's super limiting. And for me, I refer to that like literally so I can get money. Like that's a job title. And it's not like I'm making presentations and typesetting all the time, like in my free time, as like part of my release. It's just something that I studied for, and that's what I kind of like, that's my professional bag of tricks, so to say.
Right. Yeah.
But
So, I mean, beyond though, what I will say about some of the films that I've seen, even just the title work, some of the animation though, like you obviously take some of that aesthetic and that skill set to, branding these films, right? I mean, I do want to just kind of pull up. Do you mind if I pull up the confetti, just like that intro sequence there? The branding that goes along with, your title. We can play the rest of the film later, but I just want to pull this up here.
yeah.
There's something about that, like, and obviously you're shooting in Super 8, right, for this film.
Mhm.
So, and we can come back to that aesthetic, but
Okay. Future
what I
goals
find really
include
interesting about this film is,
falling
you've
back.
pulled together some of those like graphic design elements that match the aesthetic of the film.
Yeah, I mean, that one in particular too, that was my first time shooting Super 8 since doing all the videos in India. And I wanted it just to be like completely like, it was when I went to LA and more leisurely time, and I thought that that might be a beautiful time to capture some like really very sceney, and like it was actually in San Diego, but very like sceney, very surfy, kind of settings that I'm not very into. Not that I'm not into, but I'm not around all the time, being from the Midwest and then living in New York. But yeah, the title, and it was all kind of decided, like it was super. I wanted to make it look like it came off a letterpress in a little bit of a way, because there's constant imperfections within the film itself. And I think that that raw kind of like, the only thing that's like structuring the thing together is not only subtitles, but the raw chunky block title of Confetti, with like the really really like close kerning and tight knit letters. I thought that it's kind of like a stamp of a seal, and then like everything that comes out after that is just a little free form. So
Yeah.
that was fun. And Confetti, that was very inspired by one of Ed Templeton's videos that he did about the kind of like the inner circuits of California, and that was a huge inspiration for that film too.
Yeah, well, I definitely want to give some people to see, give them an opportunity to see some of the work, because it's definitely very intimate. And one of the things that strikes me about it though is, whenever I look back on my work, especially when it's like older, there's kind of like a cringe factor. Like I've been really focusing on like developing some skills, like in portraits, for example. But then I put together a portfolio and like look at some of my old work. I'm like, I can't show this in public.
Yeah.
But like what's interesting to me about Super 8 is like, it was basically before video cameras, right? Like people were taking these home movies, and we've been going through some of the home videos that we have over this break. My brother's been digitizing them, and talk about cringe fest, right? You're looking back at all these things, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Like, what attracts you to kind of those older formats of making films? Like, what does that allow you to do?
I mean, it's just like I said, like a lot of the beauty comes within the imperfection, and then once you see, I mean, just the process is like you're just like when you're shooting kind of like 35 millimeter. Like if you're not developing your own film or anything like that, and you have no idea how it's going to come out, and then when the footage comes back, hit or miss, you have so much more appreciation for the craft and everything that ties into that. Um, and so specifically, it captured like a lot of like raw like feelings and emotions at the time, like specifically that one confetti that we're talking about. It was in San Diego, like I said, and I just thought that like I wanted to bring the Super 8 there during my brother-in-law's bachelor party. Super fun time. Shout out Duke. And yeah, I just thought that the scenery, that the Super 8 was the thing to shoot at the time. I knew how it held up in India with the conditions, and that it came back beautifully. And I only thought that like I'd be able to capture the softer pastels that are like so sun soaked out in California. But yeah, shooting that stuff, film, with the skating with the VX and everything, just like understanding the process just brings you that closer to the work. And then once you get it back, editing it, you want to do the due diligence of editing it right and making it make more sense and everything.
Yeah, well, do you want to let's take a look at Confetti. It's a shorter film, but I really like how it ties together. Let's pull that up real quick.
Okay.
Okay, future goals include falling back, slowing down, thinking ahead, put away more money, and stop throwing it around. I don't know where I got the idea that I'm not going to live forever, or that I'm going to not live until the time I expect, you know what I mean? Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone, I'll figure it out. The only thing I'm saving up for is a coffin. But it's going to be sick. It's going to have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth speakers, and an aromatic diffuser. These hot ideas and feelings are like fireworks. They're fun to play with until they blow up in your face. You have no idea how uncomfortable you make me. Like a terrible surprise. A mess with good intentions. Confetti.
All right, that was pretty incredible, and it's just so funny because like, I think I bet is it tough for you to kind of be around your own work? I mean, it's an incredible piece. It has such a strong message to it. But I know that sometimes even just being confronted with your own work can be a little bit interesting. So tell us a little bit about how what you see in that film, even though because you made this recently, correct?
Yeah, that was in the late summer, early fall of 2019. And I don't know if anyone else can agree, but the summer of 2019 was just kind of insane in general. It was, so much fun. I feel like I was living a little faster at the time than I could have been. And I mean, I look like I'm cringing at the video, but honestly, I'm still proud of it. And I was because of living so fast and everything, um, emotions run really high. You're super connected to your work, but it's really beautiful when you are able to kind of capture some of those emotions in a way that might be understandable for the audience. And then you could just kind of like shelf it, because that's kind of what happened at the time, is like it's feeling all these things, was like living a little hot, and then had to not had to but was going to this like beautiful moment where I'm celebrating this guy that my sister is marrying, that's going to be part of the family. And just always being around them, being around my family, and just like it's like going to this like nice place that isn't as aggressive compared to what I was doing in New York. It's just like a nice reminder that like, okay, like let's just slow it down a little bit. Like you're not like, you don't have to be super hot all at once, like hot-headed. Like you're gonna live and things are gonna happen. And I'm really it's that making that in general is super therapeutic, and I like to watch it from time to time because it's just like a nice little reminder that just like, oh my god, like it just give it a rest. Just chill out. Like I was, you know, firing off, getting tattoos, having fun with the friends, and then
No,
come back and like I'm like, oh my god, like just reminding yourself like you're living in your own world constantly, and just like okay, like get out of there, get out of your own head. So
yeah.
that was what I was going for with that. So
Well, I think being in your own head is kind of the universal trait of the artist, I'm guessing, right? I feel like
oh
you
my
go a
god,
million miles an hour to kind of like stay away from some of those internal thoughts, right?
yeah, exactly. And that's why, like I said, like putting words to it and everything, and like just the like for these kind of videos, like everything for me like has to like kind of come together, not perfect, yeah, actually perfectly. Like I'll be honest, like, I was such a control freak for the music and like not wanting to look corny and like say that like I'm using anything from like anyone else. So literally recorded the song, like made that, that's one of my songs on the guitar and wanted to like have this out. My guitar was broken, literally playing an electric guitar, like recording with my phone right next to the pickup and then having to run that through audio editing software, give it like a bunch of like distorted effects and ambiance, and then just like recording, and dubbing my own voice so that it sounds like it's coming out of kind of like a shopping mall like receiver. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say we should definitely touch on some of the music because whether you're using your own or some of the other ones that are included, especially in the Indian film, I find there's just all sorts of ones. I actually throw up this short Instagram one just because I actually really enjoy this one. Not Super 8, but it is kind of more of an old school video format. I'll just play this real quick. But what I love about this one is honestly the dude playing off his sunglasses. That's like the head bob. But even this,
Brian, yeah, you know Brian.
yeah. So the thing is like you're obviously still creating these films, but the music seems to be a big part of how the world gets created. But especially when you put in like those fireworks. And something I love about that confetti is like that mention of, the what do you call it? Like the fireworks are fun until they blow up in your face or something like that.
Oh my god, yeah. Like the hot flashes that you have of emotion.
Yeah.
And it's like, having another drink at night when you're not supposed to or something like that. Like burning the candle is hot, with a cute little candle with a flamethrower.
Right.
Yeah. And that came from, I feel like I try to keep it behind the scenes as much as possible, but just having like that, wanting to have that control and just that not that temper, but just like you're running hot,
Yeah.
coming up. That phrase was like came from, not came from, but Mark Maron says a lot of stuff like that too, and I like a lot of his stuff. But yeah, no, that it's funny that you say that video format because that was a really nice way of saying that I downloaded a VHS app and made it look like I was shooting on a dad cam.
Hey, honestly though, like I think that's part of it. But well, a few things. We have a couple of questions coming in from our guests. First of all, I also wondered this as well. Where do you even buy Super 8 film? Like, is that readily available or is it tough to find?
Yeah, you could go to the B&H on 34th Street, or you could go down to Adorama Camera on
Nice.
18th in between 5th and 6th. Well, this is Manhattan.
Yeah.
You can buy it anywhere. I mean,
Sweet.
like everything's accessible online. It's funny because when I bought that camera, like all of them, they're not making Super 8 videos. I think Kodak tried to run a project where it was scanning Super 8 format with with a micro SD card in the camera, but I haven't seen anything of that like come out.
Sure.
Or like, kind of, it was just a concept. But the camera that I bought on eBay. Seemed like the motor was working, that the lens was working and everything, but it came with old Super 8 Kodachrome, Kodak Kodachrome from the 60s,
Wow.
original packaging and everything. That is hilarious because that was my first roll, and I was like, all right, let me see how this feels, before going to India, test it out a little bit. I took that thing on a tour of a Paul Rudolph building, who's really great architect, Paul Rudolph building in the Upper East Side with the office I was with. We were just looking at this beautiful office. It looked like a Wes Anderson set, super tall, huge panes of glass windows and everything, beautiful, like books galore, plants everywhere, just a beautiful, beautiful space. And I'm shooting there, with the camera, getting all these beautiful shots. I'm like, oh yeah, this looks like I'm living a life that like, I'm nowhere near. And I was really excited. Like that's I had the idea of confetti while I was like shooting that. Um,
Well,
which is like, having, like a narrative piece. And like the whole idea was like, it's so funny that while I was shooting there, like I already had the narrative in my head that like, I wish I had more time in the day. I wish I had more time to like work on these things and then call my family. I wish I can see everyone that I'm close to. And then I wish I could, do all this other stuff. Anyway,
yeah.
I
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say there's another question that kind of hits on that. We talked about coming away or kind of identifying this potential for a narrative. Dan is asking, which comes first in your filmmaking? Do you write it ahead of time or piece together the footage and identify some thoughts, to piece it together? Like, are you kind of just going with the wind there?
Well, I mean, the first thing that happens, like I definitely have a narrative before I film these ones that are scripted and have things behind it. Uh, Definitely want to get shots that might reflect that, like some of the waves crashing, or like, oh my god, look at this silly sign on this like Airbnb we're staying at. It's so ridiculous. It'll work. And then when it comes to editing, and maybe like this comes before the video too, but like for skate videos in general, like before I even edit anything, like I have to have music. I have to like understand what the background is going to be like, because that kind of like sets the tone and the pace of the whole thing. So for me, yeah, I can't just I have to have an idea, or I have to have something together before like really going out and shooting. So that's kind of the weird part about shooting with Super 8 and some of these other things. You have to give up that control because you don't know what it's going to look like in the end.
Yeah. Well, I do want to show real quick just the opening to this one. It just opens with some really cool like waves crashing, and talk about the music. This one really hit me. It transitions into some lighter stuff, but this opening and the kind of animated titles are really cool. We'll play a clip of that, and then we'll join back again. Yeah, like that to me is just epic. Like there's something about how you come in, like I said, with that really clean cut, graphic title there. So it's so punchy yet dreamy, and that's what I love about the work that I've seen.
Dude, if you played like 3 more seconds of that video, it completely lightens up. It's
Well,
not
that
like
right. But I'm gonna. So this is what we'll do: is we'll play that one. Kind of after we sum up our conversation.
great.
I'll put through some of these things, and then in the description, I'll make sure that people can find not only your Instagram, your Vimeo, and everything else, because this stuff deserves to be like sat down with and like really absorbed, because like I certainly don't want to like force people to like try to confront it and then be forced to hear us chatter in the background. But
No, totally.
but I would like to kind of get to some of the other projects you're working on. I know I've been hitting heavy on some of the Super 8, some of your video aesthetic, but I know you have some other projects, and I'm going to pull up some of these drawings that you shared with me that I find really cool. I want to hear your thoughts on them. I'll kind of go through them a little bit, and we'll just kind of blast through. But I'd love to hear what your thought process is when you're kind of, making these drawings.
Yeah, so I mean, like you said earlier, like this is a beautiful time, this isolation that we have to really like try some things you don't have a lot of time for. And one of those things for me is really drawing. Like I really like hadn't gotten back like into drawing within like, until like the past 2 years, which is ridiculous. But yeah, no, a lot of these ones that I did kind of like over quarantine was a lot of these interesting kind of like shapes if you see on the bottom left, or just like these kind of placeholders. Um, but yeah, no, it's funny. A lot of these really come from too, like just kind of, I feel like are just compositions of different badges of things that I kind of like draw anyway. I mean, I don't want to over, critique the work here or like add too much meaning, but like it is just kind of like a nice family of some things that could find some relation rather than, more in like a, sort of like I don't want to say dolly. I would never, never compare myself to someone like that. Just the thought of
No,
that, like saying something like that is so kooky. But yeah, no, a lot of obvious, American cowboy. There's some religion innuendos there. Um, that's kind of like reconnecting. Not in isolation in New York anymore. So just like the impact of like how much the Midwest has on me, and just like kind of like open landscapes and everything have really gotten into it. Um, and yeah, that's I really haven't let myself even like go into shading before, which is insane. So
right.
that was something that was really great to work on the pencil. Whereas these overalls that we're looking at now is more of my kind of bread and butter, just heavy, thick line illustrations. And this was pretty much like taking a bunch of ideas, really like using these overalls as a sketchbook, and just seeing like when you flip through someone's sketchbook, which is pretty personal, but when you flip through someone's sketchbook, you see like how they treat a single page, whether it's completely full bleed or just like little kind of pieces and spots. And that's it's kind of what I do, and that's what you're seeing here is just like a lot of things that like I kind of like either have like firing off in my head, or that I see and then I'm like, oh, I want to like put that onto something, and like use the extent of my hand to like get these ideas out, or just to like to have them up there. And that's kind of how I treat a lot of these drawings. It's just like, all right, quick idea, just throw it up there, just move on. That's great. All right, it's done. Don't you have to look at it, you don't have to do anything. And in fact, like that's why I like giving away this stuff too. These overalls are from our friend Mehdi. He
Oh,
never wears them.
yeah. Well, what I do find really cool about them is you mentioned that act of almost like flipping through somebody's sketchbook. It's always weird. You're kind of like entering into kind of this like mad and crazy place. But what I love about the overalls in particular, it's like a constellation of different ideas. And it's in some cases I noticed there's some like other languages on there. So like some things are purposefully like not legible, or at least it appeared like that to me.
Totally.
So yeah, I really enjoy taking a look at that. But the one thing I want to point out is this poster here, and this is related to another video I think you did for Giving Room, I think, right?
That's right. Yeah, this was a really great event that we did with Giving Room when we went to Atlanta. It was on Go Skate Day. Yes, Go Skate Day. There's always like these great events of oh, that you have to have a day for skateboarding and everything. Anyway, this was something that we did. We put on a show with my brother and I's friends. They're called Upchuck, and they're just one of my favorite rock punk bands ever. And this was really, really insane, kind of weekend and whole event that we put on together. I mean, I don't know if we want to look at anything or just dive into it, whatever.
Let's take a look at this a little bit of a clip here. think people can kind of get an idea of that rock and roll aesthetic that kind of went into that. But what struck me about this is not only in that poster you see it, but some of the type design, especially that. Did you do the Atlanta thing? Like a.
Front, like to charge for the show, drinks and everything. We raised over like $1,200 within a couple hours that we gave to Sudan on top of paying for the band and for the DJ and everything like that.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, the one thing I wanted to point out, and we may have dropped some audio there, but what I heard you say is that in the collaboration for the show, you were able to raise a lot of money, as I understand, for Sudan. So that was really, really impressive. I'm making sure that I just want to double check our audio here. I think we're going to be good because we deal with kind of a lag time on the stream. But I do want to pull up something that is a little bit outside of the purview, and I'd be curious to get your reaction to this, and I'll throw it up there. But I remember coming across this clip on Reddit, I think.
Oh no.
And I want to get, because I'll just play it. We'll see if anybody has seen it, and we'll see, because I can't remember. I'll have to figure out what your thing is. Never mind. I'll shut up. Let's just watch it.
Oh my God.
So
Oh man.
I think the subheading was like, there was an attempt that I saw this on, or something like that. But this got like millions of views, I'm guessing. So what was your reaction to finding out that this clip kind of went viral?
Oh my God. Honestly, I have to credit everything that happened literally comes to one of the homies you saw in the show. I don't think or one of my clips. I don't think you understand, but Brian Shear once like submitted a ridiculous video of him just like falling on his ass skating. It's just like a dorky clip. And he just sent it to like a fail blog, kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. I think that this video has some juice. after we were done skating, my friend Anthony filmed that, and my friend Will later in the clip walks over to like pick me up. And this is just another day skating, and it's just like it just so happened that like the cameras were rolling at that point. We all like went to the bars or something like after that, and I like submitted the clip. I'm like, ah, ha, ha, that would be funny to like submit the clip and everything like that. Sent it in, and then literally like the next night, like I got one repost, and I'm like, oh, okay, like great, it did it. That's great. And then a week later, it just completely exploded
Oh, that's pretty
out of,
wild.
out of anything we could ever imagine. And the most ridiculous part about that is they say not to read the comments or anything, but those are some of the funniest things in the world. Just like how much people talk about the smallest little details too, and how like little understanding that they have, and it was really fun. It was like a fun, good like drinking game to like go through some of the comments, people being like, hey bitch boy, like some grateful guy breaking his board when they have no idea like what was happening. They even talked about my friend Will. They're like, this guy standing up looks like he has been sitting down for 60 years, and it's like he's literally sore after throwing his body downstairs all day.
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
Jeez.
Well,
Yeah.
like I said, it's interesting to see because big picture, most artists, like especially nowadays, there's so many avenues to put yourself out there. And what's interesting to me, like I remember, like in high school, for example, I made this like I thought it was a joke painting, right? It's like this guy that looks like an eggplant and there's like a fried egg on his face and like all this other goofy stuff in there. And like I needed an extra portfolio piece to like submit. And then that was the one that ended up like winning this award in a show. You know what I mean? It's like you put all this time and effort into these like really polished pieces, and then it's like all of a sudden you get recognition for something that you're like, wait, that was that was a joke, or that was kind of like
Right.
a vulnerable moment. So I just find that ironic in some ways that we have no control as artists really what the world reacts to our work.
Yeah, and cheers to you that if you got any kind of reimbursement, because that thing is gone everywhere, and it's been on ESPN, it's been on like Belgium like talk shows and everything like that. I haven't seen a penny, not even a free haircut for that.
Hey man, well, this is why we have you on. We want to make sure that you get credit, because that's the thing is
That's
that's a
it.
pretty HD clip right there, because we were also talking about how it's been shared so many times that it's
Oh my
like
God.
degraded. You can't even see your face in there, right?
It's beautiful how that happens, and now that's why you see like all viral clips like look the same because they are like so diluted. And I don't know, man. It's like for like the next week, I was like walking around with the same hat and shoes, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if anyone recognize me. It's so
Yeah,
stupid.
you got to leverage
But
that celebrity.
and if I think it's great, and I'm happy for it because it makes a lot of people laugh, and that's all that's worth it right there.
Yeah,
And
well,
it's fun too when people are like, my own friends have seen it and they don't know it's me or something like that. Also, this is so ridiculous. We're still talking about a viral clip. This thing needs to like complete. This needs to be done with. But it's funny when people are like, "What? That's you?" And I'm like, "Oh my god! Like, come on."
yeah. Well, the one thing I know that we at the beginning of the show today, I was able to preview the film from India. Are there any other stories that you want to tell about that trip? Just because I know that, like, not only does travel bring out some pretty zany opportunities for just like weird stuff to happen, what you recorded on film was probably half of it. Anything else unique you'd like to share about that adventure?
That was, I mean, we kind of not like we missed our mark or anything like that. I took that video in a direction of just like totally censored, you know what I mean? Like just all like the music, the film, the skating. There's not a lot of explanation of what's going on at all, and I kind of wanted to do that so that we can appreciate it more. As soon as like you have like an MC, like one of our friends like Nikitas or Ryan or something being like, oh yeah, and then we went to here, and then we went over there, and then these are the people that we helped out, and this is what we did, and then we ate this food, and oh man, it was so great. Like I think that like travel videos like that are just ridiculously corny if you just like let it happen and let the scenery, let the environments kind of speak for themselves. It's just a stronger video. But yeah, India was amazing. It was super great. a lot of my friends back in New York think I talk about it too much, and especially my close group of friends couldn't get a word in, like talk, like offload the trip a little bit, still to this day. But yeah, the behind the scenes, I would say that wasn't I tried to capture, but it didn't come out the same. Was our friend Mehdi? He completely dislocated his shoulder while we were at this skate park in Bangalore, which the skate park was at like a similar thing. It's called a play arena, and so next to the skate park, you got go karts, and then next to that, you got soccer and cricket field, and then behind that, you got paintball. And then over here, there's a moped track where people are racing mopeds. And then after that, you can go play video games or shoot skee ball and everything, and having like a beer. So it's just like a super bizarre place, like that
Wow.
in Bangalore that we were at. So we had to like pay to get in. Okay, so many things behind that. Like Benny dislocated his shoulder. He walked a couple blocks down to go to a hospital. Got an X-ray. I don't think he got an MRI, but he got everything done. It was painkillers, everything that he needed, and it cost like $80 or something like that. And he was already back the same night, like having like the beers with us, like when we were done skating after we had gotten all of our clips. And then also, I don't know what it was. And one thing that wasn't shown at all was in the video was right directly halfway between the trip, everyone got so sick with food poisoning. Like it was, and we were all sharing a hostel at a time, an 8-person or 6-person hostel. We were all in the same room, sweaty skaters in India, getting food poisoning, one bathroom. You're in a hostel together, and then there's a clip of our friend Aaron, and he's eating a sandwich while the music's playing and everything, and it was a vadapav, and it was like kind of like a street sandwich on a plate there, and we're pretty sure that's what did everyone in. So it's amazing that like he's smiling, taking that bite, and then just everything after that was just brutal.
Yeah, I was gonna see if I can pull up part of that clip. I think you said it was at like 14 minutes or something like that.
The whole thing was about 14 minutes. So I don't know. Might be about 7. We're talking about the Medifall because that was great.
Yeah. I'll have to see if I can cue it up, but otherwise people can kind of watch it as they play it at the end. Oh, wait a second. Let's see. Sorry, this broadcast software is starting to grow on me, but I still have to figure out as much as possible. But it's working pretty well so far. We've only dropped the audio once. But the thing is, we're kind of wrapping up here, but I know that, what strikes me, especially when talking to fellow creatives, especially, I'm more of a painter, illustrator. You're obviously working in music, video, really storytelling in a lot of different ways. Do you have like kind of a takeaway for anyone else who, is either a creative or who wants to get into something that you would do, or just any parting words that you would share with anyone to help them either understand your work or just inspire them to make their own?
I could do that in two. I got 2 things for that. The first is just like definitely just get something done and put it out there. Put it up or out there, because that has been like the greatest lesson is like not like completely holding on to something. It's just like, all right, well, I gotta paint 30 birds and I don't know how to paint 30 birds right now. It's like, all right, just gotta do it. Bird by bird, get them done, knock them out, and then the next time you do it, you're gonna understand what you did right or wrong. And it's just this kind of like this process of like it's like marble slabs, breaking yourself down to like keep building up and like keep doing it. And just I also believe that that's important to do across multiple mediums. So like you don't know how something's made, it's like go try it, just give it a shot. The worst thing that can happen is that it doesn't come out and then you get to try again. Worst case scenario, you're gonna learn something, because if you're great at something, naturally, then it's good for you. The second part, I'm just gonna play a little something here.
All right, excellent.
This is my sign off.
was excellent. Thank you. I think we're gonna have you back just when your album drops, because that's some pretty impressive picking you got there, man. I didn't even know.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Banjo.
Well, again, it's been such a pleasure talking to you, and seeing the breadth of your work. Obviously, that send off is kind of a perfect note. I've never known you to be a one-dimensional person, and you've kind of shown me even more. We have even more to talk about, and I especially want to thank you for joining me today. I do have a few questions. First of all, just a couple follow-ups. Number one is, how old were you when you made your first film? We have from Kate out there in the audience.
Oh my God. I can't obviously say an age, but the first one where I'm like, I'm gonna make this thing and it's gonna be a thing was about middle school, I would say. Definitely middle school, 7th or 8th grade, maybe high school.
Oh.
Long beaver hair, filming on a flip video camera. And it was just skating in my driveway with an awful board. Classic Chicago setting of shoveling off the driveway, copious amounts of snow and the ground's wet and everything like that. Doing that to a Velvet Underground song, Heroin. And it's one of the most cringe-worthy videos. My dad still keeps it on his phone, it's on his cloud or something like that. Yeah, that was my first one. A young kid with braces and Bieber hair. This song about heroin.
Yeah, jeez. Yeah, it's also one of those things where you look back, it's like you kind of think, you start dealing in the world of art, there's always something, that's a little bit beyond your grasp in some ways, but something pulls you in, and you keep engaging with it. But it's been amazing to see how you've grown and started, building a whole body of work around just these really seductive visual feasts that are your films. So I really appreciate it. Again, we've been talking to Robert Marohn. You can find him on Instagram as Boy Marohn. And we can throw up his little Instagram handle here for 1 second. Yes. And then we'll close out with this film. Do you mind if we close out with Flashpoint? And then we'll also play the film from India as well. Is that all right with you?
That's all right with me, and I want to say thank you to Ava Trilling and Darius Arrow, who did the poems and pieces for that. So they're the narrators, and I love them for it.
All right. Well, thanks again, and
Thank you so
hope to
much.
see you soon.
Great.
Be
Yeah,
well
I'll talk
during
to you.
this containment. All right. Take it easy.
No, we'll figure it out.
All right. Thanks again. Talk to you soon.
All right, man. See ya.
Bye.
I am not the same as I once was. Chubby and young, trusting and empathetic. Things are not so black and white now, and that's not my fault. Who's to blame for my impulses? I want to point fingers and I'm told this is natural. I miss when I believed you. Maybe I'll turn to religion. I realize I'm horny for anything that's bigger than me.
I set myself on fire every single day, but I keep an extinguisher in our kitchen now, so it's not that big of a deal anymore. My fingertips are burned off, so I can get away with petty theft. When they dust for fingerprints, there's nothing there. Just been soaking up and spilling out. I miss my plants every day. They've been adjusting to the temperature and the dryness in the air. It gets so dry, and then it gets so humid, and then it gets so dry, and then it gets too humid again. So they're just adjusting. But they're doing fine, I guess.
I smiled, thinking of freedom while running on the same treadmill, in the same gym, at the same speed. I don't care if I'm a creature of habit. At least I know when my knees will give in, when my breath will run thin.
Oh my god. Hell yeah. Open video, we're all getting hurt. It's a lot of hurt shit. That's Paul or?
Day one, complete.
Y'all got hurt, drained.
You guys find food the other day.
We went back by our place. Well, you guys didn't eat.
Where's your brother at?